Hello, welcome to what is perhaps going to be the most awkward experience of my entire life, recording a YouTube video on the subject of economics. So, hello, my name is Hugh Gallagher. I study law in Trinity College Dublin, and within this mildly awkward YouTube video, I'm one of the scriptwriters.
I'm Niall, similarly enough, I'm a scriptwriter as well, and I'm studying geography and politics.
And then behind the camera we have Hiroki. He studies computer science and business, not management. And he's our main videographer for this project. And then tragically, Matthew couldn't be with us, but I prefer to him as kind of the big brains. He's the guy who puts together all the handy notes available in the description below. But as a whole, I guess by now you're wondering, what the hell are we doing? Why is there a really weird fire beside us? Is it dramatic effect? Who knows? But what I can tell you is that we're all taking the module Introduction to Economic Policy, therefore we're all technically economics students. Thanks, Gaia. And we are going to be trying to take down some of the challenging or riveting topics in the wider sphere of economics. So it's going to be making all these kind of topics accessible for anyone who hasn't studied economics, anyone who wants to study economics, anyone who has an interest, anyone who wants to watch me suffer through the making of a YouTube video. But each video we're going to be taking one topic within the wider sphere of market structures, breaking them down and discussing them. Hope you guys will enjoy them somewhat. But there's also the question of why.
Well, the main reasons we have to for our project,
Yeah,
which is we're at 30%, but also because we want to bring economics to you, to the viewer, because we feel that most economics isn't very accessible, it's not easy to read, it's not easy to understand. So we're going to hopefully make it a lot more basic, easier to understand, and with the extra notes, the extra reading that we give you, you should be able to understand it too.
And we'll be putting the U back in economics, which leads us exactly to our group name, which is... In this video we're going to be talking about the very basic idea of market structures, which is going to prove quite essential, beneficial and useful to understanding the subsequent topics where you get a lot more complex, talk about individual types of market structures, but for now we're going to demystify the whole thing, take the scary economics, I don't like it, which is me every day, out of it, and hopefully explaining it a little bit better.
So a market structure is basically an economist way of theorizing the way in which a market operates. They can answer many questions, being the industry being analysed, including its amount of buyers, sellers, its efficiency, and its more nuanced technical aspects such as its cost or revenue curves. One important characteristic of the market is the kind of competition within them, perfect or imperfect. This is a scale that we'll explain throughout the videos in more detail, but and we'll be focusing on market structures with imperfect competition. So within Youconomics, over our series, we'll talk with 3 main videos. There'll be the introduction, obviously, which we're doing now, and which you're watching. And then there'll be one on the 3 types of imperfectly competitive markets. So we'll have, firstly, monopolies, which is the most imperfectly competitive. Then we'll have monopolistic competition and oligopoly before having one more review and summarized video.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
And as a whole, it sounds really scary, but it's not, which I tell myself as I maybe sobbed to sleep at the thought of an economics graph. But no, in all seriousness, it's really not the worst in the world. I know that when I came in I found it terrifying, really strange, really foreign, but as a whole, when it's broken down the way that we're hoping to do for you guys, it just proves to be a breeze. But that leads me to the first thing that we're going to really break down, which is the difference between perfect competition and imperfect competition. So within a perfect competition or within a perfectly competitive market, you have numerous buyers, numerous sellers selling a homogeneous product, and then imperfect competition is everything outside of that. So for example, in a monopoly you only have one seller, in an oligopoly you have very few sellers, in monopolistic competition you have differentiated products. Therefore, that's why those 3 are all imperfectly competitive, because they don't have numerous buyers and they don't have homogeneous products. But those are essentially the main, that's the main overview of what is meant by perfectly competitive and imperfectly competitive. But a really good way to visualize and explain them, and something that's a really good point of reference, is look at graphs, which are different. Matthew is going to be taking care of.
Hi, I'm Matthew, and today I'm going to be explaining how to draw market structure graphs. So graphs are very tricky, but but market structure graphs can be made simple through good explanation, which is what we're going to do right now. So essentially, in all types of economic graphs, we have a price to quantity axis, but in terms of market structures, we replace price with cost, so you can write out this price. And why do we do that? It's because in terms of market structure graphs, we're not looking at the graphs in terms of the consumer's perspective. Rather, we're talking about where the firm wants to produce at the optimum level of output. So for that, the firm doesn't really care about the price necessarily, it cares more about the costs versus the amount of quantity it produces. So in order to visualize this, we actually have 4 different types of curves. We have the marginal cost curve, the average cost curve, the marginal revenue curve, and the average revenue curve. And they can be written as M or A or AC and all those letters. But essentially we have to explain what those are. So these are all firstly concepts that can be visualized through graphs. So marginal cost is the idea that every extra unit produced by a firm can be will incur a different level of cost to the firm because of that extra unit production. Average cost is an idea divided by the amount of quantity produced. Marginal revenue is the same as marginal cost except related to revenue, and then average revenue obviously is that divided by the amount of quantity produced by the firm. So these trickily are different for every different type of market structure, which you will see in the notes. But something that remains the same is how to draw them. So the first thing that we all need to draw related to market structures is the average cost curve, which looks like a bulb. And I'm not sure how you're going to remember that related to average cost, maybe because an A and a C are both kind of like curvy, so they both have a curve, and then obviously you have to write the word AC beside that because you always have to label your graphs. And the reason it's in the shape of a bulb is because you produce more, and on average your costs will go down because you have more quantity, and that's called economies of scale because you're gaining benefits from the fact that you are upsizing the firm. Eventually you will reach a point where the costs are at their minimum, and then once your firm increases in size again, there will be complications arising due to the fact that it's such a large firm, and your costs will increase again. So we can take off average cost. We can have that as a list, by the way, that's a good way of doing it. Marginal cost, speaking of ticks, is in the shape of a tick, and it can go through the very middle of the bulb and almost straight up like that. And then we label it like here. Marginal cost can be rationalized as that shape because every extra unit incurred initially will decrease the amount of costs, but eventually once you gain size and you produce more quantity, the costs will increase because of the complexities that arise from having a really large firm like that. Once again, it is difficult to explain every different type of way of drawing a market structure because for every different type of market structure there are different types of graph, but to show you how to draw the marginal revenue and average revenue curves, we're going to do that through the explanation of the an imperfectly competitive market of monopolistic competition. And in monopolistic competition, in the long run, which is the most realistic form of market structure characterization, the marginal revenue and the average revenue curves are similar to those of the demand curve. So that means that we can draw them from top to bottom, from cost to quantity, like this. And we draw them just so that they're touching the bottom of the average cost curve, and then we draw the other one from the top of here with a steeper slope. And we label the less steep one as average revenue, and we label the steeper one as marginal revenue. And the reason why we do this is explained in the notes, and it's really complicated maths. I don't want to say it right now. But essentially you see how that works right now. You see how you draw them, and from the notes you will see how they work and why we draw them. That's it essentially.
Okay, and that pretty much brings us to the end of our first video. I hope it wasn't as painful for you as it was for me. But I think that it would serve well to kind of recap what we've talked about today. So we've outlined who we are, Hugh, Lopal, scriptwriter,
Geography and politics, scriptwriter,
hero of the computer science business, videographer, Matthew, big brains, also Lopal, And then we've outlined what we're going to be doing, which is each week taking a subject from economics and breaking it down into a way that's really accessible to make sure that you, the viewer, are able to understand and access all these relatively inaccessible topics. And today we kind of outlined what we're going to be discussing in our subsequent videos, but also the difference between perfect competition, aka numerous buyers, numerous sellers, homogeneous products, and imperfect competition, anything but. But as a whole, I think it's time for us to say goodbye before we move on to our next topic. And just remember, economics is about you.